Great. Ready?
I sure am.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to EVS Mastering the Essentials of Business Ownership, Planning, and Digital Marketing. I'm your host, Irene Cho. Today's topic covers planning for healthy business. This webinar is brought to you in partnership with EWDD, BusinessSource Pico-Union Westlake region operated by PACE Business Development Center. This webinar will be recorded and you may find it on our website, eLibrary, after a week. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce PACE briefly. PACE was originally founded in 1976, and we are a 501 nonprofit organization. Our PACE Business Development Center provides many counseling services for local small business owners. We also provide free webinars and training to accommodate your business to take to another level. We have various loan programs you can apply to your business. So if you have any questions, please feel free to visit our website, pacebdc.org, or give us a call. We have upcoming webinars regularly. You can always check our website and register. Past webinar recording, please visit our e-library. Please give us some time about the week so marketing team can upload the recording. Okay, now let's get started today's webinar. Please welcome Valerie.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I hope everybody's having an amazing day. Let's see, it is Tuesday. Sorry, I'm hearing an echo. Am I okay? Can you hear me okay, Irene?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It's great to have everybody here and join our webinar for Form a Healthy Business from Startup to Reality. So hopefully today you're going to be able to get some information and some good tips on how to build a healthy business. And especially if you're a startup or you've already opened up your business, maybe you can learn some things today and where you'll be able to improve your operations and be able to move forward successfully. But in the meantime, as I'm introducing myself, before we get started, I'd like to see who is here today. So if all of you can do me a huge favor and just go ahead and put in your name, what industry you're in or you're trying to get into. And at the end, what we'll do is I'll open it up for questions and then also be able to give you access to my calendar so that you can schedule a one-on-one consultation and I could do an assessment of where your business stands. Hopefully, you're already doing that with PACE as well. So you have an additional resource here to be able to help you move forward. So actually right now, I was just talking to Irene and she was asking me what EVS stands for and what it means. So I wanted to actually highlight a little bit about that and how it came about. But just before I do that, I've been in business for so I've been in the business industry for 20 plus years, and I've been supporting entrepreneurs and business owners like yourself for the last 15 years. I'm really passionate about helping business owners and helping them grow, which is why Evia came about. Some of you may have, I see some familiar names on here, so some of you may know me. I actually used to be in the finance industry. I was at Bank of America more recently, and I was a public speaker for them, provided financial literacy, and more importantly, be able to guide and navigate and be able to help those clients to be able to grow their business. Now, Evia, we were just talking about what does Evia mean and how did that name come about? Well, there's a couple of meanings to it. So Evia, EV means it signifies to me evolve. So I didn't want to spell it out, but EV means evolvement, and that means me able to be evolving to back to going into entrepreneurship and being a business owner from the corporate world, and also help my businesses that I'm helping evolve. EVIA means via, which direction. For me, I'm not looking down, I'm looking up. So that's the direction of where all we should be going, and not only myself, but then also my clients that I help. If you see on my logo, it has a plant. The plant signifies the growth. My growth, not only my growth, but that also the growth of my clients that I help and be able to help them thrive and move forward. So just a little bit of history there. I was just at a Women of Power conference and where I had a panel discussion of, overcoming obstacles. And I do sit on a lot of different nonprofit boards and where I help empower business owners, and all of them support business owners to be able to move forward. So very involved in the community. I'm also involved at a board of Swing Into Success, which is a women's golf club, to be able to empower those women to be able to play golf because it could be a little bit intimidating. So just some of the things that I threw out of my community, and of course, like today, do workshops to be able to help you move forward. Now, you may be wondering what we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to be talking about why planning matters, starting your business, plan formats for your business plan components, market research and SWOT analysis, which we kind of went through last week if you were there, financial planning, risk management, and then we're going to close out and the next steps on how I may be able to support you in the future. Now, looking at the businesses that we have here. Love it. Thank you, Dyra, for confirming. So we have Bharat Bhaktaz. So what is it that you do? If you can go ahead and let us know. And then also feel free to put in your contact information. There has been times where business actually comes out of the webinar. So feel free to do that if you feel comfortable. Share your email, your business name. You may meet somebody here that might need your services. Keisha Mills, owner of Winter Grace Sugar-Free Chocolates. Wow, that sounds amazing. And you're probably going to be really busy, Keisha, right now, coming with the holidays coming up, I'm sure. We have Globimax Tours and Travels. Sounds like fun. I'm actually planning a trip to Cancun that hopefully I'll be able to make it happen before the holidays. So that's amazing. King Company Name Global Premier Inc. Electrical contracting company. Hopefully you're working with Pace to be able to get some contracts. Definitely that's amazing. Okay. Thank you, Bara, for going and putting your information. If you, like I mentioned, if you feel comfortable, please put it on the chat. You may find somebody here that may need your services. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. So why planning matters. So there's over 20% of new companies that close within the first year because of lack of planning. And let me just tell you a quick story about what happened to me. So back in 2007, I thought it was an amazing idea to open up an escrow company because things were great, more or less. We were having a lot of clients in the loan side and the real estate company that my family had. And so I thought it was a great idea to open an escrow company. Well, guess what? I did not do any type of planning. I just thought it was a great idea. So I went ahead and opened it. I ended up finding out that the real estate market is actually a roller coaster. So what does that mean? What goes up must come down. And so what ended up happening is about 6 to 8 months later, 2008 hit, and unfortunately, that escrow company is non-existent. I did have another opportunity to actually take over my father's business. He has an HVAC business. And for those of you that are not familiar, HVAC are those companies that help you with being able to install air conditioners, fix and do maintenance, but then also heaters as well. Very successful business, very profitable business. He offered it to both my brothers. They decided to go their own way. When he decided to offer it to me, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I did not have the entrepreneur mindset. I was 18, 19 years old. And I just thought, no, like, there's no way I'm going to go to a basement and install these things. I didn't have that mentality of I could actually run the business. So that would have been a great business. However, again, I did not do research, nor did I know where to go to get access to capital. So we'll be going through that today, especially if you're a startup business. Some of you, I'm sure, have already gone to the bank or somewhere and maybe already turned away. I want to be able to support you of where you'll be able to go moving forward and wherever you're at in the stage of the business. Starting your business. So here's a little bit of a roadmap. And again, everybody will get a copy of this PowerPoint today in a PDF file so that you can reference back and see what are the next steps that you'll need to do to be successful in your business. Now, starting your business first, let's validate an idea. So what is it that you're going to fix? You got to understand when you're setting up a business, you got to understand what is there a need for the service, the product, or both that you're providing. So determine whether it's going to be a service, if it's going to be a product. You got to remember service might be a little bit of a less overhead, meaning it's going to cost you less money than if you actually do a retail business. Retail business, you may have to do, or wholesale, right? Or distributing, you are probably going to need inventory. So we can probably all agree in here that it takes money to make money. So you may need a little bit more access to capital than if you were to do a service business. Number two, draft a plan. There is studies that you are more likely, 60% to be more successful if you actually draft a plan and write it out. So you're already ahead of the game if you already have a business plan. Today, I was actually really impressed. I'm helping one of our clients that is looking for $60,000 to be able to open up their business. And she already had her business plan. So she was already ahead of the game. So being able to write it out, and we'll go through some of the items that do need to be on that business plan. Number three, I think I mentioned this earlier and I always mention it. It takes money to make money. You may think you might not need it, but if I tell you right now, and I said, look, I'm going to give you $100,000, but the only way you're not going to pay this money back is if you only use it for the benefit of your business. What is that plan going to look like? What is those funds going to be used for? What would it do to your bottom line? Is it going to make you more profitable? Are you going to create more jobs? Are you going to have more revenue? What is it going to do to your business? So think to yourself before you say that you tell your banker or your advisor that you don't need a loan. What if we position it that way? What is it going to do for you? So securing funding, and we'll talk about the different resources at the end and certain things and where you might be able to go to be able to get secure funding, no matter if you're a startup or a seasoned business. Number four, choose structure and location. So make sure that your business fits the personality of where you're going to be located. So if you are depending on your industry, you may want to do a little bit of research as to maybe even what stores you want to be around. So I know there's certain big franchises that once they go into a certain area, other businesses follow. So make sure that you're doing those type of research. Register and get IDs. So make sure that you're able to go appropriately. What's your structure of your business? Are you going to be a LLC? Are you going to be a S Corp, C Corp, sole proprietorship? Sometimes as a new business, you may want to start as a sole proprietorship and sole owner. So being able to identify those items and then open a business account. Make sure that you have both of them separately. What happens if you are putting your income into your business account? Guess what? You're going to be taxed more at the end of the year because of the money that's going and running through that account. So make sure that your personal funds and your business funds are separated appropriately. And of course, your business banker. We'll talk about that later. Make sure that you have a good relationship with your business banker and your accountant. Your accountant not only can help you strategize throughout the year and go through the next steps, But then also your banker can give you advice and maybe when the right things of getting certain things done would be. Launch and refine. And this is something that I learned as an entrepreneur this most recent time is your business doesn't have to be perfect. And I feel like I wasted a lot of time at the beginning trying to make sure that it was going to be perfect. My website's going to be perfect before I actually launch. I meet with my mentor once a quarter, and I remember I had like an emergency meeting with him, and he said, Valerie, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just go out there and do it. You're going to figure it you're going to figure it out as you start going. And you may also realize that maybe the product or services that you also have, you may have to pivot into something else because you might find out that the need may be in the area or just who your surroundings are as far as your network, it might not be a need. So 7, of course, launch and refine. Always, always, always make sure that you are seeking help when needed. Business plan formats. So purpose and use. Now let's talk about this. So when there's a lot of different types of business plans that are out there, right? There's some that are just very small. You just kind of need it just to kind of have a guide. You might not be in a position that maybe you need access to capital. Maybe you're wealthy and just don't need it, but you need to write out your plan. Comprehensive roadmap for investors, lenders, and partners. And then the lead plan is quick overview for internal strategies and agile startups. So this is more like an internal, you don't really need access to capital, but you just kind of want to have a plan read out. That would be one of the plans that are out there. The other one is length and detail, which can pretty much help you. These are typically anywhere from 15 to 30 pages. If you are not going through a nonprofit and you're going through a consultant, these are usually a little bit more expensive and pricey. However, it does give you a little bit more in depth of an actual detailed plan, how you're going to go to market, what kind of marketing strategies are you going to do, what kind of technology you're going to incorporate for your business. And this is actually something that I recommend. The more detailed, the better you see it. And the more you're able to actually refer over to the plan and see what are some changes. I always bring up one of my clients, and the reason for that, and I would say this to him, so even if he was in this call, but he was a little bit of a stubborn man, and so I'd always ask him, hey, why don't we review what it is that you need, like some sort of equipment, so that we don't have to keep renting it out. So one day he actually went through his plan and he ended up realizing that this is a construction company, by the way, that if he went ahead and bought this water truck versus renting it out, that he was going not only to save money, but he was also going to increase his bottom line to $150,000. And the reason that he knew this is because he had a detailed business plan, and where he went on to his business plan and started realizing, wow, I do X amount of projects a year and it's costing me $20,000 each time that I rent this water truck for these projects. If I just buy one and borrow from Valerie $100,000, then guess what? Not only am I going to be saving money, my payment's going to be lower, and he was going to be adding $150,000 to his bottom line. Business plans, also when you're seeking funding or you're looking for some sort of venture capital, which is alternative financing, these are some things that they will want to ask, and they will want it to be a little bit more thorough than just a very short one. Key components of your plan. So having an executive summary. So on there, you'll have your mission, goals, highlights, things that you have accomplished, things that these are things that investors, lenders, or even sometimes landlords will want to know about you. Market analysis, as I mentioned earlier, make sure that you do your research. So what is some industry trends? Knowing some of the good and the bad is very important when it comes to a market analysis. Take me, for example, going into business back in 2007, and then 2008, my business was non-existent. I didn't have enough clients to be able to sustain. But not only that, but I just did not do any other research, nor did I have a business plan. So don't let that be you. Learn from others' mistakes. Marketing and sales. What are some of the strategies that you're going to be doing to promote? Are you going to go door knocking? Believe it or not, I used to do door knocking back in the day, back when I was in 2004 in the real estate industry. I would go knock on doors and actually see if people needed to sell or buy a home or refinance their house. So how are you going to get the word out? Is it going to be through your network? Is it going to be through digital marketing strategies, social media strategies? Sometimes social media strategies, as far as marketing, might be good for your business, but let's just say that maybe you're a manufacturer or a distributor. It may or may not be the best option for you. I always recommend that you have a marketing strategy where it goes based on word of mouth, right? So it comes in with your network, but also have some sort of help with like digital marketing strategies. And then, of course, any other way, whether it's advertising or whatever it may be, depending on the business, you may want to make those research. Action plan. Make sure that you stay true to yourself of what your action plan is going to look like. What are some of your milestones? Maybe you want to say, you know what, my first year, I want to make $50,000. Maybe you have a side hustle, or maybe you still are working in the corporate world, but are trying to transition out. So be true to yourself. What is it that you can handle, cannot handle? And then also be able to seek help appropriately. So when I first started the business, I remember just spinning my wheels, and I'm like, man, like I just can't, I don't get it. Like I'm able to help businesses grow. I'm overwhelmed right now. I feel like I'm not being efficient with my time. There's a lot of things that I need help with. So one day I just disconnected from the world, and I said, you know what? Let me sit down and see what it is that I really need help with. And as I mentioned earlier, it's really important that you as a business owner, if you're going to be successful, that you're able to identify what are the areas that you need help with. Now, for me, and actually, my admin, my executive assistant, she's actually on the call today. That's when I figured out. I'm like, I just suck at admin work. So guess what? I went and hired an assistant that was going to help me to fill in those gaps of the areas that I need help with. And if that's something that you need to do, again, make sure that you identify that early on before it's too late. Company description. So what's the history, the legal structure, ownership, and objectives? What is it that you're selling? What is it that you're doing? You'll want to have that in your business plan. Products and services. What is it you're offering? Are you offering a product? Are you offering a service? Are you offering a combination of the two? And as those products and services change, make sure that you're updating it appropriately. Also, this can also help you identify of what areas you need to focus on the most. So as far as what we offer here at Evia, we empower businesses to fund, innovate, and grow by helping them access capital, AI-driven solutions, and digital marketing strategies. And guess what? I've already identified which one is going to pay me what. So those are some things that you also need to look at. Organizations and management, team structure, roles, and governance. We will need to know your organizational chart of who's the boss, who are they reporting to, who do they go up to? And it'll also help you identify whether you need to grow certain teams, especially if you have different departments like myself. Financial plan, projections, funding needs, and profitability. So being able to have an actual written out projections. How much money is it going to cost you to start your business? Some people just go in there blindly. And guess what? I have projections of where I want to be in the next 3 years. So I did projections of what I'm estimating, what type of licenses I'm going to need, what type of startup costs I was going to need. So have all of that on there so that you could also not only stay true to the plan, but then also help identify what are some areas that need maybe less, you need to spend less money on, and it'll help you all as far as to stay true to your plan and the goal of your financial plan. Market research and SWOT analysis. So for those of you that joined last week, we went through the SWOT analysis, and this is something that I definitely recommend for you to be able to identify. And I had not done a SWOT analysis until I found out that I actually needed some help. And so here is where you're going to put your strengths. So what are some of your strengths? Like, so I know for myself, I'm a good connector, and I am a good at being able to talk to certain people and be able to build those relationships and build rapport. So that would be something that I would list as strengths. So it's up to you to be able to to be able to identify what your strengths are. And although we don't like to talk about it, all of us are not perfect. So make sure that you identify your weaknesses. So what is it? Do you need money? Are there skills gap? I mentioned to you that I'm not the greatest when it comes to doing admin work, or when it comes to actually doing any type of designs or anything like that. I'm just not good at those things. So being able to identify and where you need help. Opportunities. There might be opportunities for partnerships or emerging markets. There might also be an opportunity where maybe there is some sort of resources that are available in your area to be able to support your business. I think last week I talked about a resource in where the city of Los Angeles pays for your employee if if you are a for-profit business and also a nonprofit business, which could be a great help. So what are some opportunities? Those are some things that you really do need to identify to be able to fill in those gaps. Threats, competitors. Is there too many of your business type? That could also be an issue. Is there maybe other markets that are taking your business? So those are some things that you may want to know. Also, economic downturn, right? That's huge. I know right now a lot of I think it's sorry, I read this article. Please don't quote me on this, but I believe there was an increase by 60% of those that pay their car on time, and were recently, because of the economic downturn, and not only that, but because of the government shutdown, there's actually a 60% increase of those that have always paid on time and have high scores and are all of a sudden now not being able to. So are you going to be working with the government, or is there anything in economic concerns that you may consideration? As I mentioned, when I opened up my escrow company, there was economic concerns that I did not take in consideration, and that was the economic downturn. I did not evaluate the history of the real estate industry. All right, so financial planning and funding. So prepare income statements, balance sheet, cash flow projections, realistic revenues, expenses, and break even. Monitor cash flow and profit margins. Consider bootstrapping and loans or investors. So there is a study that it is 75% of those companies that go public actually started with an investor or a venture capital. So something to think about there. Is that something that you are willing to do? That might be a good fit for you. But yeah, 75% of the startup businesses that go that route actually went through a venture capital or investor. So something to think about there when looking for funding. There's obviously traditional funding that you can go through your banks. Banks, they require for you to be at least 2 years in business and also be profitable and be able to show on paper that you could afford the debt before they can extend any type of loan. But then there's also alternative financing, which our friends over at PACE actually provide alternative financing. So in the event that you are not able to get some sort of funding through your bank, PACE, or another community development financial institution, which are also known as CDFIs, might also be able to help you get funding in the event that those traditional lenders are not able to. Now, community development financial institutions, how do they exist? They're actually nonprofits. They are government funded or funded by private companies. Private companies that obviously is to their benefit that the economy continues moving forward, right? And creating jobs. So something I always tell my clients is, you as a small business owner, you actually employ most of our population. It's actually not Lowe's, it's not Home Depot, it's not Wells Fargo, it's not Target. It's actually you as a business owner that are out there creating jobs and actually driving our economy. So feel proud if you're opening up a business or already have one. Risk management and adaptability. So being able to recognize your market. And as I mentioned, there might be some times in where maybe there's an economic downturn or there's some changes in your industry. I always bring up the example of Kodak for them to actually be able to, they're actually not who they used to be years ago. Oh my goodness, like 20, oh my God, I think it was like 20, 30 years ago, and where they did not pivot appropriately. So it's very, very, very important that you manage your risk and you adapt to change, being able to adapt and overcome obstacles. So sometimes, yes, we may have a business, but you may be in a dying industry, unfortunately. Those are some things that you may want to consider. And you may want to consider adding products, services to be able to supplement for the lost revenue. But these are some things that you definitely do need to evaluate. Now, be in conclusion and next steps. So today we kind of went through a roadmap of what it is it takes to be able to have your business. What are some things to look out for? Your business plan. What are some things out there that you might need? I know that PACE, I believe they do help you with your business plan. I'm going to go ahead and send over to PACE a worksheet and where it can give you a little bit of a guidance so you can start answering some questions for a business plan. And of course, you could always leverage your resources to be able to complete that plan or get any additional guidance. And in addition to that, I wanted to be able to make myself available as a resource. So on here, if you want to connect on LinkedIn, or if you want to schedule an appointment, I'm going to send over a PDF file and where you can click on the link and be able to schedule some time. I can do a complimentary 30-minute session and where I can do some evaluation and see how I might be able to help your business. But now that we're pretty much at the end, I wanted to open it up for questions and see if there's any questions that you might have, or anything that you want me to elaborate a little bit more. Is there anything that I can help?
You can use emoji, hand up emoji, and then you can start to question.
We have a quiet class today.
Yeah, today is very quiet.
Last week wasn't that as quiet, but we had a quiet crowd.
Okay, we have a
King
question.
Moore, if you could please unmute yourself.
Okay.
All right, so I have a question. I'm just starting with my electrical contracting company, and funding is something that I need to get started. Credit is fairly good, could be better, but I was just trying to figure out where would I start to try to build funding, even if it was just equipment.
No, yes, absolutely. And some of the funding that is out there, you may not even need a lot of documentation depending on the amount that you're looking for. As our resource today is PACE, I would definitely encourage you to meet with Irene and see if there's a possibility that she might be able to help. And because they are also a CDFI, which is what I mentioned, the resource that I mentioned earlier. Right. If for whatever reason our friends over at PACE is not able to help, please feel free to email me. I am going to be sending a PDF file of today's presentation. In the event that PACE is unable to help you, please schedule some time and then I can go ahead and see who might be able to help you to be able to get the funding that you need. So we're not going to get into detail right now, put your personal information out there. But yes, I just sent you my email over at the chat. Be happy to help you in the event that PACE cannot help.
Okay,
great question.
Thank you.
And congratulations on your business.
Oh, thank you.
Definitely a great business to be in. Okay, I apologize if I mispronounced this, but Shizuaki?
Shizuoki.
Shizuoki,
yes.
Shizuoki. All right. How can I help you?
Yes. I have a question. My business is majored in industrial automation. By the way, I'm an engineer. So it's a startup precisely. So I'm taking my profession to another level. So, and then for this, it's quite unique. And then it requires some tools. So the tools I mean are not just handy tools. Some of them are kind of, like the gigantic 6-degree elbows of freedom industrial robot and stuff like that, conveyor systems, and so which is a wake-up call for, like, to kind of have something like a machine, not like a shop, like a warehouse kind of mini, to be able to test the equipment before I go out to the field for commissioning. So now, in this situation, one thing is I might need some startup loan or grant or something in order to be able to, get that set up, because it's not just field service is great, but before you go for installation, you have to test your equipment in-house, factory assessment test and all that. So in this situation, if I should solicit for a loan, is there like a timeline that I will be given before I actually start paying back? Or what are the chances? Is there something like a grant that can help offset this kind of, groundbreaking, take it off the ground? Because let's say like one robot is about, it's over $40,000, and, stuff like that. So the equipment is quite huge, for a start. And so, and it's like the turnover is more like expertise when you get a job done, and then the project also is not like an overnight project whereby you're called for service, you just go in and troubleshoot and walk away. So the project timeline might take about 6 months. So even if I get a job, it's kind of 6 to 8 months to get it completed, and then gets to a point of installation and commissioning. So if I should take a loan to acquire these, kind of get the basics that I need. And from my understanding, they might expect a payback right away. So is that like should I say, a package that gives some leg room, from the loan approval to payback? So is that like an interval like that? Because, if the project is ranging, and that means if it's not completed, it's not paid. And so is there something like can allow for flexibility, if you know what I mean?
No, yes, absolutely. Well, first, congratulations on being able to take this step and opening up your business. That's huge. But yes, as we mentioned earlier, it sounds like you may want to just sit down and do a little bit of a planning of what your projections are going to be in the first 3 years. And the reason for that is because you need to identify, you may not just need 40,000, you may need a little bit more than that, just because so that way it can cover some of your other startup costs, such as your brick and mortar location or your warehouse that you just mentioned. So I would definitely say sit down with an advisor and be able to see what it is truly, how much money you actually need. Because sometimes you just think, oh, I need equipment. But then now that you have the equipment, you're like, oh my goodness, now I have to pay rent or whatever it might be. So that's going to be the first step. You did mention something about not being able to pay back right away. Right now, I can't think of a lender and where your first payment doesn't start after because I actually look into that myself, and believe me, I looked hard. I did not find a lender that will give you a grace period like 6 months or anything like that. Typically it's like 30 days to 45 days. If you're lucky, maybe even 60 when you close. I did put a website on there that's grants.gov if you're looking to not pay back a grant. Those don't have to be paid back. They are difficult to get. And then my advice to you is when you go on there, you just make sure that you are eligible for that grant. So you got to remember these grants either come from the government or people or foundations that feel passionate about certain things. So it could be maybe that they only want to cater to a woman that's single mom and has one kid that is divorced, something like that, right? So just make sure that you're on there, see what the qualifications are that you are able to. But I would definitely, I can give you a little bit more advice, like on one-on-one. I don't want to put anybody's business out there, but would definitely love to schedule an appointment with you as well to see how I might be able to support you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Okay. Is that your email, Valeria?
It is, yes. And then I'm trying to look for the link so that way you don't have to wait for the PDF to come through. Any other questions? Great question, by the way.
I think we're pretty much
Wonderful.
done.
Well, thank you everybody for joining today. You could have been anywhere else, but you decided to invest in your business and gain the knowledge and information that it takes to be a successful business. So hopefully you will join next week for our next session. And yes, I went ahead and put my information on there. I'll be getting a PDF file over to you of today's presentation so that you can go ahead and reference back. If I can help or support in any way, please give me a call or send me an email. I also put in my Calendly where you can actually schedule an appointment directly with me. But let's see, military contract that can help him. Yes, there are contracts out there that could also help. But yes, thank you, everyone. Have an amazing rest of your week. We'll see you next week,
Okay.
Tuesday at 1 o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Irene. Have an
Bye.
amazing week. Take care. Bye.